Hello guys, and thank you so much for tuning into a very special gear review today. I want to talk to you about my brand new pedal board setup provided to me by Rockboard. So let me tell you a story. Recently, Brian from Framus in Warwick got in touch with me and he's like, "Hey man, I have a question. I've seen some of your videos and I've got to ask, do you even have a pedal board?" To which I said, "Oh yes," and I proudly displayed to him this utter piece of dog shit that I have used for almost a decade. I bought it off of eBay because it was dirt cheap and it had a cover and a handle. And I thought, ooh, awesome, I can take this thing on the road with me. Wrong. It is very, very cheap. Just a piece of plywood with a piece of felt on it. I got ripped off very hardcore. It broke the very first show I used it at, and since then it's just kind of sat in whatever practice space I've been in, my bedroom, studio, whatever. So I said, yeah, of course I've got a pedal board. At this, Brian said, dude, you kind of don't have a pedal board. We need to do something about that. Let's talk a little bit. Let me send you a few things so that you can check them out, review them on your channel. If you don't like it, that's fine. Send it back to me. It's cool, but we need to see about fixing you up right. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool to me, man. You know, so I picked out a few things, and then all of a sudden, this care package shows up in my house that's got a ton of stuff in it. So in the very first package, the very first thing I noticed is, oh my god, there was a beautiful, beautiful Gigbag here that actually houses the pedal board when you're carrying it around. For a slightly extra upcharge, you can get an actual flight case to house your pedal board in. But upon taking the pedal board out, I was struck with this really, really nice black powder-coated finished piece of aluminum. Upon looking at the website and seeing some of the specs, it is a cold rolled piece of aluminum and is just one sheet, meaning that everything is just folded over so that it fits the shape that they want to put it in, and it is not welded. What does this mean? As far as the welds go, although the welds themselves can be very, very strong if they're welded correctly, it does tend to take up a little bit of the flat surface that you could be using for your actual pedals or your cables or your power conditioner or something like that. So by having it just be one piece of aluminum that's just rolled to fit the shape that it needs to be in, it actually maximizes the space a little bit more. What else was cool about the pedal board is that it did come with actual screws and an Allen wrench to affix the Patchbay module onto the board, but I will get back to the Patchbay in just a moment. It's kind of funny because on the website they say that the slotting of the pedal board is meant to be something to make it a little bit easier to affix your pedals to. Not quite sure how that works out. I am going to say that the slotting of the pedal board does fit a very, very good purpose though, in that now I can run all of my power cables, I can run all of my patch cables, basically anything underneath the board and out of the way. I've got my patch cables kind of coming out of one pedal, wrapping underneath the board itself, and then coming back up through another hole to plug into the next cable. It makes it a little bit tidier, it makes it a little bit cleaner. It also means that there's less chance of my clumsy ass to accidentally kick a cable out of a pedal like I've been known to do at a gig. Onto the Patchbay. Kind of going back to the fact that it came with the screws and the Allen key in order to tighten this thing on. One thing that was very, very obvious right off the bat, this screw hole and this screw hole were just slightly not big enough. So I've got to be honest with you and tell you about that. The hex key actually had a tapered end on one side of it that, okay, no problem. I just kind of put the hex key in, gave it a few quick turns, and boom, hey, presto, now the screw actually went into the hole properly. So there again, not sure if that was the intention, but it worked. And I've got to tell you about it because it's something you guys need to know about it, but it was also something that wasn't really that big of an issue. It was easily fixed in like 5 seconds. So whatever. Now, what's cool about these Patchbay modules because you don't necessarily need them. If you wanted, you could just run your cables right to the top of the board, plug your instrument cable straight into the first pedal, have your next instrument cable coming out of the last pedal, heading towards your amp or your interface or whatever you're plugging into. You can have your power cable just headed straight to the actual power conditioner that's on the board itself. But what is cool about these patch bays, these modules, is that it just tends to tidy everything up nice and neat and perfect, and you don't have a whole mess of cables on the front. There again, because some of you guys out there are probably a clumsy ass just like me, and you'll end up kicking those cables out. This helps keep them out of the way. You've got 5 jacks on the front and a corresponding 5 jacks on the back. You've also got an XLR in and out in case you need it for, I don't know, whatever sort of effect that would require. You've also got a spot to plug in your power cable here, and there's also a little teeny tiny power cable that comes with it that you can run back up through the board into your power unit. That's pretty cool, and that helps save even more space and keep even more shit out of the way. I approve of that. That's awesome. Now, there are a couple of other modules that you can purchase for the pedal board as you see fit. They've got, quote unquote, the vocalist module, which has several different XLR ins and outs. They've also got a module that has more MIDI inputs and outs, so that if you're running a special multi-effects board or a special switching unit, or maybe you're even running an actual MIDI pickup on your guitar, that gives you even more options. And now that brings me to the actual power unit itself. This is a very, very nice block of power. This is the Rockboard Power Pit that I have on here. They also sent me this too. It does have an LED screen right here that shows you the voltage that you're running out to all your pedals. Several different ins and outs here, as well as several different cable options. So depending on what pedal you've got, you should have exactly the right power cable to run from this unit to whatever pedal you are running. That's pretty cool that they kind of thought of everything in that respect. The input voltage of this unit can run anywhere from 110 to 240 volts, and it comes with several different adapters so that you can plug into the unit. If you're a touring musician, kind of no matter where you go, you should be able to plug this sucker in, which is pretty cool. There is also an exchangeable fuse that's in this unit as well, I would imagine, so that if there's like a problem like a power surge or something that could otherwise damage your actual pedal units or any other equipment that you have on the board, that would probably blow before the actual pieces of equipment themselves. The fuses are super cheap. So cheap, in fact, that they do send you a few extras along with the unit, which I also thought was pretty cool and considerate. The power unit itself also comes with a 4-year manufacturer's warranty, which is pretty cool. Moving on to the cables. Oh my god, they sent me so many cables to check out. That was really, really super cool of them. The cables are all just a little bit different. This one is basically their flat cable, called so because, as you can see, the actual cable itself is flatter, and so is the plug. So that way it takes up less real estate on your board in between pedals, thus allowing you to possibly fit even more pedals on your board. And the flatter cable also lends itself to being a little bit more bendable too, I've noticed. Now, this cable is just kind of the basic one. That's really the main feature of it. It's your plain Jane. You've seen one. You've seen them all. Patch cable. It just happens to be flat. The prices for these, depending on the size, start off at $3.90 for the 5-centimeter one and run up from there. Moving on from that, we've got the Gold series. Why is it called that? Because it does have gold plugs and gold connectors. What's really cool about this one, though, is that in addition to having the gold plugs, which does tend to lend itself to a little bit more audiophile clarity from the actual tone and the signal itself, This sucker is also shielded and insulated so much better than the other cable is. If that first cable is kind of your plain Jane, you've seen them all, patch cable, this is definitely a next pro step up. With all that extra insulation, it's a little bit more durable. It's a considerably better sound quality. I mean, this is really just a fantastic patch cable, and this is kind of what I'm mostly running through the board. The Gold Series cables do tend to be just a little bit more expensive. They are a substantially better patch cable though, so that does make sense. The prices range from $7.90 on up. $7.90 for, there again, the smallest model, the 5 centimeter model, and then just up from there depending on the size that you need. Finally, for another $1 more for the smallest model, for the 5 centimeter one, it cost $8.90 for the Sapphire series. Now, the Sapphire series, it still has all that extra insulation, all that extra shielding. It still has a better copper core, just like the Gold Series does, and it still has that gold-plated tip of the plug itself. There again, all lending itself to a better sounding cable, better signal quality, better clarity. Mainly the difference with this one, in my honest opinion, is a little bit more aesthetic. If you ask me, spend the money, get the Gold Series one. This one, buy the Sapphire one if you think it looks cooler. I'm really happy with spending the money on the Gold Series though. So now with that, what am I drinking today? Well, today I am having Reposé, which is a farmhouse style ale that is brewed by Jester King Brewing out of Austin, Texas. It is a 6.5% alcohol by volume. It is a bière de garde, which means that it is a special kind of farmhouse ale, in this case brewed with hay. Ooh, a little bit of tartness in the aroma, kind of peachy. That's a nice sour. It's sour without being extremely sour. It does have a little bit of peach in there, not so much citrus. It tastes a little bit heavier than your typical sour. Almost like a Flemish. But no, this is good. It's definitely more up the wife's alley since she loves sours a lot more, but this is honestly a sour that I could drink a lot of. It's pretty damn good. So with that, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Brian, for sending me out a whole bunch of stuff to kind of honestly have a little bit more professional pedal board setup here. It's a lot neater, it's a lot tidier, something that the wife definitely appreciates in my studio, and yeah, I do too. Honestly, this is just a substantial upgrade from what I was using. I definitely love literally everything that I was sent here. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the comment section below. Yeah, this is just some fantastic product. I'm really happy with it. I've had it for about maybe a month now. No complaints, no problems whatsoever. It's all really good stuff. If you like the products I was reviewing today, if you like the band that's on my shirt, if you like the beer that I was having, please check them out. They're all in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.